The 419th Night Fighter Squadron is an inactive United States Air Force unit. Its last assignment was with 13th Air Force, being inactivated at Floridablanca, Luzon on the 20th of February 1947. The unit was formed in 1943. After training, it was deployed to 13th Air Force and ordered to New Guinea to provide air defense interceptor protection against Japanese night air raids on USAAF airfields. It later served in the Philippines campaign where in addition to night interceptor missions it also flew day-and-night interdiction missions against enemy troop movements, brides and other targets of opportunity. It was inactivated in 1947. History: activated on 1 April 1943. Trained at Kissimmee, Florida and trained in Douglas P-70 Havoc night fighters due to non-availability of P-61 Black Widows. By the end of training, the night fighter pilots realized that the Black Widow would not be forthcoming and resigned themselves to the fact they would be going overseas. With P-70s, the squadron was deployed to the South Pacific Theater, arriving at Guadalcanal, Solomon Islands on the 15th of November 1943, assigned to 13th Air Force. It was the second dedicated night fighter squadron assigned to the Pacific. At Guadalcanal, the squadron absorbed Detachment B of the 6th Night Fighter Squadron. On the 21st of November 1943, the squadron was assigned to the 18th Fighter Group. However, it was found that the P-70 was not very successful in actual combat interception of Japanese fighters at night. It was issued P-38H Lightning stock day fighters with no radar or any other equipment for finding the enemy at night. The Lightning pilots would wait until the enemy was over a target and, hopefully, illuminated by the defenders' searchlights. They would then try to pick out the outline of the enemy aircraft and intercept. This method had its dangers since the P-38 was subjecting itself to anti-aircraft fire from defenders as well as gunners aboard the Japanese bombers. The squadron received the P-61 Black Widow to replace the P-38s P-70s in May 1944. Then on the 25th of August 1944, the squadron was reassigned to the 13th Fighter Command. The squadron flew numerous missions against Japanese night intruders, which were a real nuisance to American forces and which up to this time had been virtually immune from interception. On typical missions, the pilot would be directed to the vicinity of its target by ground-based radar. The onboard AI radar under the control of the radar operator would then be used to direct the pilot to close with and intercept the enemy. As soon as the pilot had gotten close enough to its target to make a visual identification, the guns would be aimed and fired by the pilot or by the gunner. The appearance of the Black Widow in the night skies over the Pacific was a rude and unpleasant surprise for these night raiders. Engaged the enemy during the New Guinea, Northern Solomon Islands and Bismarck Archipelago campaigns. Moved the Philippines in 1945, operating primarily over the southern islands. During 1945, aerial targets became increasingly rare. The 419th turned to a long-range nighttime intruding, carrying out the same mission as the aircraft they had originally been stalking, ending the war being stationed on Palawan. Personnel demobilized at Clark Field and returned to the United States after the war. Equipment remained in the Philippines for reclamation or sent to post-war units. Inactivated on the 20th of February 1947 at Puerto Princesa, Palawan, Philippines as an administrative unit. Lineage constituted as inactivated on the 20th of February 1947. Assignment: Air Defense Department, Army Air Force School of Applied Tactics. The 1st of April 1943. Attached to 481st Night Fighter Operational Training Group, the 17th of July 1943, 13th Air Force, 85th Fighter Wing, the 10th of January 1946 to 20 February 1947. Stations: aircraft P-70 Havoc, P-38H Lightning, P-61 Black Widow.